On tonight's episode of InnerSpace, we'll be discussing tonight's episode of Fringe entitled Earthling.
And we're joined by a special guest, a man who plays a character who specializes in very strange creatures.
It's Sanctuary's Robin Dunne.
Thanks, guys. It's very nice to be here.
Coming up on tonight's show, what's with the static on Fringe? What does it mean when the TV goes down? We'll discuss last week's episode of Sanctuary.
What the hell is going on?
And when knowing is half the battle, it's time for the G.I. Joe cartoon.
Don't let him get away!
Hey everybody, welcome to InnerSpace, your daily inside guide to all things space and anything connected. I'm AJ Fry, and I'm joined in studio by the fanciful Teddy Wilson and our special guest, Robin Dunne.
And thank you for saying I'm special.
Special.
No
Not
problem.
fanciful,
I
noticed.
would have liked fanciful, but I'll take special. I mean,
Take what you
that-
can.
That's all I
Teddy's
get.
special
Exactly.
most days, so I figured change it
Right.
up a little
Change it
bit.
up. Yeah.
Okay.
Curveball. Thanks for coming, man.
Hey, nice to be here. It's a lot of fun.
This should be a good show. We're going to be talking all about Fringe. Of course, you can catch Fringe right here on Space Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Are you a fan of the series?
I do like the show. Yeah, it's pretty slick and it's a cool. It's got that kind of sanctuary element. It doesn't.
right.
I mean, they don't have, say, a Sasquatch on their show.
They do
so
not.
No,
it's
not yet.
I mean, they can't have everything though, but it is a cool show.
That's awesome.
We're going to have a sneak peek at next week's episode a little bit later on in the show.
Yeah.
We'll be diving into some other things.
Yeah, we've got a feature on G.I. Joe. We'll be talking all about the cartoon and its impact and influence. Did you collect the Snake Eyes and the figures?
You know what? When I was a kid, I was a Star Wars figure guy, and the G.I. Joe figure kids, they were always lorded over us because they had the arms and the knees that moved.
The movable joints.
Yeah, so they thought they were better than us Star Wars figure kids, and I feel kind of neglected. I feel kind of.
I was a
slighted.
kid who had both, actually. So I
Oh,
feel like I
okay.
was
Well,
better
then
than
aren't we
you
all
and,
impressed? Wow. Jeez.
Yeah. I just must have G.I. Joe myself. So.
Yeah.
See that? Look at that look. That's just.
I don't know what look you're talking about.
You just got that thing where you're better than me.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
You're
Just
better
my
than
collection
me?
was better. That's all. So, but let's talk about Fringe, right? Let's move from an awkward topic to. It's kind of, you were mentioning it is kind of like Sanctuary and the cool creatures. At least we had a cool one in tonight's episode. What'd you think of the smoky dude?
I like the smoky dude.
Cosmonaut.
The cosmonaut. And I like the use of the word cosmonaut.
You don't hear that a lot outside of Russia, really.
Not really. I guess it is a Russian thing.
Would they say that in Russian though? Because isn't that the English translation?
No, for that word they say the English word.
Oh, really?
I assume. Yeah.
Cosmonaut.
Yeah.
Cosmonaut. Yeah.
Now, but the other thing is that was an alien. They glossed over that fact a little bit that they discovered
huge.
life exists in space.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's tiring. You want to move on to something else. It's like,
Right.
there is life in space, blah, blah, blah. Let's go back to the cosmonaut, because it's just a cool word.
It's all about space travel.
Yeah,
An
exactly.
interesting effect on all of those people, making them sort of dissolve. And I really liked Walter's reaction to first seeing it.
Reminds me of Christmas. Like a fire log that burns so hot it remains intact, holding the shape of its former self.
Leave it to Walter to take a horrific death and parlay that into an analogy about Christmas. Only he could do it, right?
He's the king of inappropriate comments, but they're
really
funny
is.
at least.
Yeah.
I think Christmas and sort of inappropriate humor can go together. I mean, there are those.
For Walter,
At most family
absolutely.
dinners, for sure.
It's always on the table at our discussion. But Walter always uses the dark humor in these situations. He'll be over a cadaver, over a corpse, and he'll be talking about the most inappropriate stuff.
And
about
eating licorice.
Yeah, exactly. Do you like that part of the show, the dark humor? You got it in Sanctuary.
No, I think it's definitely a good part of these kind of shows is you have to bring the humorous element into it. I mean, let's face it, horrible things happening to other people is funny sometimes. As long as it's not happening to you.
Yeah.
I guess.
And when you're in these...
don't all just jump in and agree with me at once, guys.
Well, isn't it more about the terrible situations that people find them in? You need the humor to break up that moment, and especially in sci-fi and sort of genre stuff when it's kind of unbelievable things happening. The humor,
and also, I mean, there is a darkness kind of to this sci-fi stuff, so you don't want it to get too dark, and I think you want some things to be lightened up.
And it is realistic. You're hanging out with your buddy, something bad happens, not a death, but somebody makes a joke out of it, right? Walter's kind of that guy. In terms of the characters on Fringe, is he one of your favorites? Because we spend a lot of time talking about Walter on this show because we both really dig him.
No, I do, and I do like that character. I mean, he's sort of just on his, calling in from outer space. He's definitely on his own planet, and very funny. And I think that comes from his character sort of dealing with these things all the time and having to find the levity in it, right?
Right. Yeah. Now, I was kind of talking about this earlier with Teddy. I was thinking maybe down the line, your character on Sanctuary, Will, could potentially end up sort of like Walter.
Like Walter.
Well, yeah, I mean, there might be sort of a jadedness that comes along with the job that maybe Walter's at a place and that soon Will be at a place too, where it's like, oh yeah, you know, here's another creature, and let's just get on with it.
You're both geniuses and maybe
geniuses, you know, and brilliant and funny,
funny,
you know, and handsome,
great looking, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the show uses a lot of dark humor, but another part that I really like about Fringe is all of the movie references. Sometimes they're very direct, sometimes they're more oblique and general, and in this episode it was all about that haunting TV static on the screen. So I took to the streets to ask people what they think of when they see TV static. When you're watching a horror film and there's a TV and it goes totally to static, what does that mean?
Something bad's about to happen. Something's gonna jump at you, or like a ghost or something like that.
Aliens are gonna invade or something. It's like The Ring.
It's probably a movie from the 80s, because nowadays when like the picture goes out, you have like a blue screen.
There was also that Poltergeist movie, I think. Something really bad.
They're here.
I don't know about you guys, but when I get static on my television, I just first thing I do is I call the cable company. I'm like, what the? I mean,
You don't get scared at all.
No, I'm like, you know, I was watching Who's the Boss? Like,
It's my TV.
Yeah, exactly.
That's scary, not having TV for a while.
Yeah, for me, I don't get the static anymore, of course. So with the
the
cable now
digital.
being digital, it just goes to garbledy-gook of people like, I don't know.
Yeah.
In the digital mosaic,
I'm
it's almost
actually-
scarier than the static, really, watching people.
I'm
turn
kind of
into
used to that
monsters.
too, because you know, like when you were kids and the scrambled porn channel, and you just
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
you guys
We
did
admit
that, right?
to that a little too quick.
Trying to look
I have
through
no
it.
idea.
You're like, oh, look what I saw! Yeah, so
I'm
I
shocked that's never come up on InnerSpace. But this episode of Fringe, they used the static to good effect. Of course, at the beginning, you had the guy waiting for his lady to get home, and you see the static. Obviously, the girl at the end, too, which was that an homage to Poltergeist?
It's gotta be,
Felt
right?
like
I mean,
it,
Pretty
right?
clearly, right?
Yeah. Little blonde girl.
I don't want to say they were stealing it. It was just paint, a nod of the head, I guess we would.
Yeah,
if you will.
Yes, if you will.
A little nod.
Yes, of course.
Ever have the static on Sanctuary at all?
No, but you know, it's just always open for that kind of stuff. And abnormal, static, abnormal.
Who knows?
You know,
Yeah,
you never
yeah. And Abnormal made all of static.
Yeah, exactly.
Did I just blow you?
Ow, I can't touch the guy. Oh. Shocked me.
All right,
Shocking.
it's time to wrap up our shenanigans. We got to
Yep.
take a look at what's on.
Don't forget that Space is now showing the Star Trek remastered episodes on weekdays.
Oh, sweet.
And the new CGI effects are great, especially the shots of the spaceships.
Fascinating.
This Friday is, of course, the Gemini award-winning show Sanctuary. This week's episode is called Fragments.
And this Saturday, Space is showing 3 disaster movies, including The Day After Tomorrow, where cities get wiped out by a big wave.
Time to go snorkeling.
Solar Attack, where cities are baked by solar flares.
Put on that sunscreen.
It's heading for us.
And Earthstorm, where comets and cosmic debris hurtle down on unsuspecting citizens.
Look out. Just look out.
If this happens, the result will be a civilization-ending event.
And don't forget, a great new episode of Sanctuary this Friday. It's a bit of a mystery featuring Henry. So all you fans of Henry, take note.
Don't you realize what you did? You hurt Rachel Jackson.
Well, since we were on hiatus last week, we actually didn't get to talk about last week's episode of Sanctuary.
Yes.
Pretty interesting one, going to the distant future, post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was a great episode.
Your character had an interesting hair.
Look different.
There was a hair thing, yeah. I think I made it work. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Oh, yeah,
Well,
it was-
I thought it was great.
That
War
sort of-
does strange things to a man, and you had been through war. At first, I thought it was dreadlocks, but then I realized, no, it is just a post-apocalyptic mullet.
No, yeah, and actually, the funny thing is that they actually glued pieces of hair into my own scalp.
Extensions.
And I had to, exactly like that, and I had to wear them all week while we were shooting, and going out for dinners, looking like
that?
Wayne Gretzky playing for the Oilers. Yeah, it was kind of awkward, but it was a blast to do, and to see the Sanctuary in that kind of disarray was a lot of fun.
Right, yeah.
I imagine that's probably one of the big appeals of working in the sci-fi genre, getting to do all these different things, including playing the same character but set in a different time.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was weird playing Will, because I'm playing the same character, but also having had all these things happen to him.
Yeah.
It's very different, right? So it's two things at once. It was a lot of fun, and yeah, like you say, the genre is a blast to be able to go on these adventures every week and do sort of a myriad of different things. It's awesome.
It was so much darker. You killed a man in it. You had the scars.
Yeah.
You'd been through hell, literally.
Yeah,
It
there was
a good
like
episode.
I was blasting away zombies left and right. And,
Yeah.
I don't normally get to sort of be that tough guy. Well, I mean, I know I look like the tough
You look,
guy
yeah.
type, so you'd think, but
Not on the show.
whatever.
Whatever.